Hello everyone, this is Eno. I'm glad to be here today to give you guys my final presentation on economic class. Actually, this is my first time to do this presentation other than in a communication class, but I'll try my best to do it. The topic I choose today is coronavirus and world trade. I still remember the time when my father picked me up at the end of winter quarter and back to our home. On the road, we saw a lot of markets and restaurants are temporarily closed due to coronavirus. Just like it shows it here, this sign said temporarily closed until coronavirus crisis is over. And I noticed that some small market and restaurant cannot afford the worker's salary, and that's results them closed. In statistics, around 50% of the restaurant and markets are closed right now in America. And here is the two graphs. Basically shows the suffering on the stock market. The first one is the big company. It's Boeing. Boeing is not closed right. It is closed right now, but it's still alive. So we see the big drop on March 20th in 2020. But this one is not have some influence in one big company, but also on the other 500 big companies in America. So the second graph is S&P 500 index. It still have dropped a lot during coronavirus. Right now the number is higher than I showed here because this two graph is what I got 2 days ago. And this one is the coronavirus effects on the world trade. So the WTO is the World Trade Organization. They said global trade would fall this year between 13% and 32%, given a wide range because so much about the economic impacts of the health crisis was uncertainty. At the height of the financial crisis in 2009, the trade dropped about 12.5%. And you see right now it actually dropped back to the 2005. So it's pretty low right now. But the World Trade Organization has also gave us some tips on how to recover the bad effects of coronavirus, or give some ideas about how the coronavirus actually affect the trade. The WTO warned the global trade to fall up to a third, which we already know before. And also Roberto Azevedo, Director General of the WTO, stated that international trade could rebound as early as 2021, but only if countries can work together. And this is the one sentence I want all of you to pay attention to. But only if countries can work together. So what does that mean? We learned before in the class, Professor Sula told us why do countries want to trade with each other based on the comparative advantages. So if one country producing one good has the last opportunity, then it has the comparative advantage, and then they want to trade with the other country who does not have this comparative advantages. This one can make sure the whole world trade can be better and better. Here's the short example I want to mention real quick. So we know the country produce 10 cars or 5 bicycles. So it means the country's opportunity cost for cars is about 1.5 bicycles. And it's less than country B, so when the number is getting smaller, then we can say the country has the comparative advantage in producing cars. Thus, country B has the comparative advantages in producing bikes, and then they want to trade with each other. country A sell the cars to country B, and country B sell the bikes to country A, can both make their country's production more efficient. Here's the article. I saw written by Robert, posted on New York Times. The title is "The Era of Shoring the U.S. Jobs is Over." It says the pandemic has investigated the Trump trade policy in the other way. It has revolved our reliance on the other countries as sources of critical medicines, medical devices, and personal protective equipment. So, and we already know the developing countries have the comparative advantage in producing those stuff, and so this makes it sells to some developed countries to earn some money, and it used to be not learn that money before coronavirus, because the requirements for those kind of stuff is not that high before coronavirus. We know China is one of the biggest developing country in this world, and here's the data shows how Chinese exports during coronavirus. The China has exported 3.86 billion masks, 37.5 billion pieces of protective clothing, 16,000 ventilators, and 2.84 million coronavirus testing kits since March 1st. So we know those result in Chinese earn some money during coronavirus, and we know that the developed countries such as U.S. its export is the majority of its export is high technology. So, and here's a graph that shows how it take a big role in Americans' exports. So, my opinion for the entire world trade in the future, because of the coronavirus effects, is gonna slow down the globalization. So the globalization is a combination of all countries' specialties and their cultures, since they are trading with the other country, and it is an indeed inevitable trend. So no one can stop it. I think producing more masks and more gloves, not only in coronavirus but in the normal times, can just maybe the other trend that developed country will do in the future. And some developing countries notice that they're not satisfied with their high technology right now, so they may put more capitals and more labors on producing high techs, and this will result in slow down the globalization trend, but it will still happening. And that's my opinion about the coronavirus and its effect on the world trade. Thanks. And here's my reference page for all the sources.